Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Kylie Campbell, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Aircraftman Charlie Pollard. This evening, we are honoured to acknowledge Rear Admiral Dunk Gutner, Head of the Navy Command Planning Branch, German Navy, accompanied by Rear Admiral Stephen Hughes, Head of Navy Capability, and the accompanying delegation. We are also honoured to acknowledge Major General Greg Mellick, retired, National President of the RSL and member of the Council of the Australian War Memorial, and the delegation representing 1 Recruit Training Battalion, Kapuka. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial, students on behalf of St Eugene College visiting from Burpengary, Queensland, and students on behalf of Tullabeagle Central School from Tullabeagle, New South Wales. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is God by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Students, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was a vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit and the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Elliot Henry Bailey. Elliot Bailey was born on Christmas Day, 1877, in Avoca, Tasmania. He was one of 3 children born to John Bailey and Rose Ann Spratt. Elliot spent his childhood in and around Avoca, along with his mother, siblings, stepfather, and 9 half-siblings. After he finished his schooling, Elliot Bailey moved to the Mathena District gold mining area, working at the Golden Gate mine. He was an active member of the Avoca detachment of the Tasmanian Infantry Regiment. Bailey was reported as well-liked by everybody for his quiet and unassuming manner, both at the mine and within the detachment. In October 1899, Bailey joined the newly formed 1st Tasmanian Contingent with the rank of private and began preparing to serve in the unfolding war in South Africa. Although Britain had recognised the Orange Free State and the Transvaal as independent Boer republics in the 1850s, the two sides had fought a war in 1880 and 1881, in which the Transvaal had secured its independence. By 1899, tensions had once again risen to a boiling point. Following the discovery of gold and diamonds in the Boer republics in the 1880s, British subjects had flooded the territories in search of wealth. In 1899, the Boers attacked the British to prevent what they saw as an impending British takeover. The Australian colonies offered troops to the war in South Africa. 80 men of the 1st Tasmanian contingents travelled to Cape Town in South Africa in the transport Medic. Contingents usually arrived with little training and were generally expected to enter combat almost immediately. Without time to adjust to the harsh environment and in an army with serious supply problems, the horses fared badly. Many died, not just in battle, but of disease, while others succumbed to exhaustion and starvation on the long treks across the veldt. With inadequate food for both troops and horses, disease epidemics were common. After a fairly quiet few months, the contingent was converted into a mounted unit at the start of February 1900. It later fought alongside the Victorian Mounted Rifles and the South Australian Mounted Rifles as part of the 4th Mounted Infantry Corps at Bloemfontein. After taking part in the occupation of Pretoria, the Mounted Infantry was stationed on the Eastern Front. They took part in the Battle of Diamond Hill and actions at Balmoral in July and Belfast in September. The Tasmanians then marched over rough country to occupy Port to the east. On the 11th of September, while the contingent was near a remote farm outside the town of Machadadorp, Elliot Henry Bailey was killed in action. He was 22 years old. Bailey's remains were buried at a farm cemetery in a walled grave with a wooden cross and his name engraved in a nearby boulder. His name is also listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 600 Australians who died while serving in the war in South Africa. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Elliot Henry Bailey, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man, lying at there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.